Hello and welcome to the India Today, Business Today and Aaj Tak setup at the World Government Summit in Dubai. It's been a chock-a-block day and we are in fact here on the sidelines of the media village. And I have three very interesting new age founders, startups, and the startup story in India is now known across the world who are here with me. Ritesh Malik, Sri and Akshay. And I want to get to you first, Ritesh, and ask you about why are you here? You are known as a startup founder serving the Indian market, but why be in Dubai at this stage?
No, I think this is a great platform to learn in these turbulent times of geopolitics affecting business and economics. I think this is an important time to be an Indian, and World Government Summit is a great opportunity for founders like us to learn what is happening in the world, to meet relevant people, to see how we can as entrepreneurs create impact not only for India but for the globe. So very excited to be here.
Sreevathsa Prabhakar, founder and CEO of Servify. Sri, first of all, tell us a little bit about your India business.
Sure.
And I also want you to give us a sense of, is the Indian market not enough that you're looking for opportunities overseas?
So we are an Indian headquartered business, but building from India for the world.
Yeah.
So obviously India is now about 35% of our business and global business is the rest. So obviously this is a place where you get to network, you get to find like-minded people, learn from their experience. And of course, this is a place where you have culmination of, both education, politics, trade to, every sector of the industry. So I think that's the reason we are here. But of course, for a businessman, you always look for opportunities for growth. So that's why we are here.
Never miss even one.
Yeah.
You take the mic, and many of our viewers would definitely know Leverage Edu, just as Plaksha is known in the case of Ritesh. Tell me about the model, and I'm very interested in knowing this because over the recent past in various conversations, I get the sense that a lot of startup founders in India who have taken a global model, indigenized it, are now exporting that model overseas. So is that what you're doing? Give us a sense of where you see the global opportunity.
Sure. First of all, thank you. And I want to give a quick shout out to Griffin, the group with which we are here, which brings a lot of Unicorn founders together.
I learned about that and the kind of great work that is being done to promote our startups. Yeah.
Yes. So very quickly, no, you're absolutely bang on. We're able to take the India model and export it to the world. In our scenario, we help students from 17 different emerging markets head over to the world, identify upward mobility opportunities. And what you see is that...
Despite what is happening in the United States?
Which is very interesting because I have been sending students from Brazil, Saudi Arabia and Vietnam to the US because the visa rates in subcontinent, Africa and China are down. That means that places in other parts of the world have hiked visa rates. So if you look at the global corridor movement, labor mobility, that kind of never goes out of fashion. There's a percentage inflection point kind of keeps on changing. So kind of just to go back to your question, if you look at, I think it is a bit of a ironical question that India and the world are different. I think the new India and the new world, our Delhi and a Bangalore and a Mumbai are very similar to our Lagos and Abuja in Nigeria, Kathmandu in Nepal, or say New York in the US. Whereas you would say Gurdaspur, Moga, Kapurthala, Ernakulam will be a much more difficult city to crack as compared to the tier 1, tier 2 cities all over the world. So I think as founders who are building in the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 city phenomenon of India, they find it easier to replicate that across other global markets where the cohort of people that they're catering to is very, very similar.
Okay.
So I think I speak for a lot of other founders who are building from India for the world when I say that.
That's a very good point, building from India
for the world.
Just a quick follow-up because it's a very interesting time and the macro level statistics show that Canada and the United States, which were two very large markets for Indian students, have gone down quite a bit. Has there been a shift? Are Indian students now pursuing other geographies for other courses? How is that playing out?
Of course they are. So about...
you place what, 10,000 students annually or more?
This year we'll be at 18,000 students
18,000
annually.
Wow.
We've been doubling every year. For us, about 35% of our revenue now comes from Europe, led by Germany, then followed by Italy, then Spain, even Malta, other parts of Europe. But let me again kind of go back to the fact that Canada hasn't gone out of fashion. So Canada is now attracting students from certain other parts of the world, which may be more attractive.
To the Indian... the recent thaw in our relationship, I believe in the
it's
near
coming back. We got about 25 universities visiting camped in Goa right now as we speak, as we are kind of here in Dubai.
So Canada is coming back. Is the United States also going to come back?
We hope so. We have seen the drill. You and I both have seen the tweets from President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. Hopefully, talent is also a part of
I
what's
want
happening
both
out
of
there.
you to also come in, primarily not from your business perspective, but Ritesh, this is a deal. Some fine print is left, but it doesn't seem to be that the immigration policies that the US administration has currently, they are going to change. He is optimistic. What is your view? Because you are associated with MIT Sloan also.
No, absolutely. I personally think that what is happening in the world right now will actually be good for India in the long run. When you talk about tariffs, see, our global tariffs were 3% pre all of this. Today they are 18%. Now a lot of people might
because
say
the baseline is now set at 16. So,
absolutely.
It's not too bad.
So actually it's not too bad.
Yeah, because some people would say, oh, it's still but the fact is
Absolutely.
the baseline has been reset at 16.
Absolutely. And the fact that we are still lower than Bangladesh and Pakistan is also I would say a huge testament to the efforts of our government in these tumultuous times. I think what the government has been able to pull off, especially with an unpredictable president of the United States, has been phenomenal. I personally feel with the tariffs, the war happening within the entire part of the world, I personally feel that Indian MSMEs will now be competing with global products, and this will really help Indian MSMEs to actually become more competitive at a global stage. So I'm very optimistic, and this will also boost the Make in India, because Make in India today was a great start, but if you see now, we have started making doors for the A320. We've started making bases for missiles, which never happened. We were importing all these expensive, nationally important materials. So I'm very hopeful on semiconductor industry, very hopeful on the R&D spends that India will be doing. See, when you talk about India, right, our R&D spends are still 0.5 to 0.6% of our GDP. When you talk about Singapore, they are almost 6.5%. So we need to really up that spend. And with the new budget, I'm very confident that Indian and Indian economy will be at a very golden spot in the coming.
Sri, I don't know if you want to add to that. Add, and also tell me, do you see a mood shift happening in the fundraising environment? Now, I'm not suggesting that you are personally, your company is looking out. Let's clarify that. but give us a sense of what they said, and also on this question of the fundraising environment, which had kind of taken a hit in the recent past. Do you think that's going to change?
Yeah, so as a follow-up to what they said, I think, like they say, the tough businessmen will always manage tougher times better.
When the going gets tough,
so I think that's what has happened with us. If you see the diversification of our exports, the mother of all deals is a good example. Canada coming back. Yeah, and the father is now.
Has also been announced.
So I think, our government now is also running the government like an enterprise. So in many cases, the negotiations are also, more vanity at times. Like Trump's 18% is probably, it had to happen only after the Europe deal. Now somebody didn't want to miss out. And I think all of this is, in summary, helping people to diversify while you were solely or highly dependent on the US is no longer the story.
Okay.
So I think my view is this is ultimately going to help us. We are opening new markets. Okay. So as an economy, it will help us.
Right.
Coming back to your question on the funding environment, I think overall investment cycles have changed, theses have changed. People are looking at more stable businesses rather than, especially when it comes to the non-US businesses,
yes,
which is where the risk appetite is still very, very high.
Right.
When it comes to our side of the world, I think the investments were very bold before, which is now being not as bold as they were before. But I think the cycle has started to regain momentum again. Okay. So we are seeing a lot of companies now
getting on that, Akshay. Yeah.
Actually, add something on what
the cycle, whether it's reversing or is it still early days?
No, it is still early days for sure. But I would just add in on that and say that you have to give it to President Trump, because if you look at his presidency, we were actually looking very inward. Not just India, a lot of other countries. Thanks to President Trump, we have all started to think about our exports are not going to be what they are. We have to go ahead and kind of change it. We have to do a mother of all deals. We have to do this deal with
No, you haven't said this, but I'll also say, till 10 days ago in Davos, I was there for another sort of similar event. It's a much bigger one. Several Indian told me, no, the India opportunity is very big. There is enough. People are coming back. Now you are within 24 hours, you are completely changing stuff. You haven't done it, but.
No, I'm saying you have to realize, if you look at, forget what Davos is saying, forget what Desert of Davos is saying, you have to look at the balance of payments ratio of India. It has to be more even. There has to be, I've always believed that there has to be more export surplus as well if we have to really become a Viksit Bharat. You can't deny that. We were looking at achieving that through, say, ABC different objectives. I am very happy personally that the focus has come back on exports as well, whether it is export of goods, whether it is export of people,
you
the
made
business that I am in.
You made this very good point about how from inward looking we are re-engaging, and that's why in the recent, we've now done what, 8 trade deals, which were till some years back. Okay, as we wind down this conversation, I want you to tell me about 2 quick things. I'm sure you are meeting a lot of CEOs here and others. Ritesh, to you, the mood and outlook of foreign investors towards India. There is FDI and there are portfolio flows. Depending on your interactions, give us a sense of how a foreign CEO or how a foreign startup or a foreign fund is looking at the overall macro India opportunity.
See, this is a great question. If you talk about foreign mutual funds, they are still cautious because obviously markets are overvalued according to them. There are markets which are relatively more or strategically valued, and at the same time with the rupee depreciation at 5 to 6%, the return and the risk return reward hasn't been that great in the Indian market. But I would also like to tell you that today morning there was a lot of happiness in a lot of funds who look at India, because this trade deal was the most important one to restore that confidence back in the country that the government is serious about ensuring.
And we saw how the rupee responded to that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And overall, the second thing, which at least in this budget, the best thing that I liked was strategic focus on AI. Strategic focus. See, private capital cannot wait for 20 years. It is government's responsibility to create those 1 lakh crore rupee funds for R&D. And I'm very confident Bharat Bhagya Vidhata by 2047, these 2 decades will be the decade of India. We will be creating semiconductor,
you are an
AI.
evangelist for the India story.
No, I'm very excited about the India.
You on the same question, really.
Agree with everything my brother said. I will just add, as patriotism taken care of, I'll just add on top of that we still do have to tie in some loose ends. When I speak to investors across the world, there is some fear around taxation. There is some fear around taking money out, which could be unfounded, which could also sometimes spike from things that we see around the Flipkart Tiger Global deal and other things like that we have kind of read in the news over the course of last few months.
Absolutely.
So when
anything retrospective, whether it is driven by policy or judicial decisions, which are in some ways retrospective because they take time to be delivered. So there is a retrospective element in it. Yes, absolutely.
And I would say, like, just to the benefit of the land that we are standing in right now, I think there's a lot that we as the government, while we are absolutely awesome, we can learn from Dubai in terms of attracting more foreign investment. Yes, we have a lot of DII kicking in. Yes, we have SIPs happening. Yes, India, it seems like we have truly got financial independence in the last 5 years when all these regulations were taken care of. We have so much more personal, private money kicking in that is taking care of companies like ourselves. At the same time, I don't think we should totally close our doors to FII and say that, okay, we don't need you. I think it's very important to build the right legislation, tax framework, to have them become an important part of the India story, as they were 10-15 years back as well, or as they were in the first stint of Prime Minister Modi.
The last word to you, and let me just add that there was some amount of disappointment. A lot of these foreign investors, particularly from a stock market perspective, had expected some sort of, let's say, rollback of some of the capital gains related taxations. That didn't happen, and sentiment got hit because of the STT hike, but that's for a separate subject. The final word on that question, the outlook towards India globally.
I think India is still an attractive destination for everybody. I think one of the big things probably we didn't speak about is the India local consumption story, which is what is really going to fuel, like dependencies. We have to have self-dependence, and I think that's where India is also going to play a major role, and I think at least we are seeing a lot of action on that front. I can tell you, our business, when we used to present to investors outside, we used to say that we are an India to the world business with 80% revenue coming from the world, and now we are saying 50% from the world, and 50% will be India. I mean, imagine 1.4 billion people really becoming 10% of that in the ultra high net worth category, we are as good as the US, right? In terms of the population itself. So I think we don't need to be overly dependent on exports or outside, but India itself can be a huge, huge consumption market.
Well, viewers, see, this is the real part of the India story: resilience, optimism, and the ability to be prepared for any mood shift, regulatory shift, or a policy shift. 15 days back, 2 weeks back at Davos, there was caution, and people said, well, if the United States turns away its eyes from India, India will look inwards. We will do our own thing. We will strike deals with others. And when the European Union announced that deal, that electrified the atmosphere there. Now, literally, and this conversation, just to give you, is happening within less than 24 hours of President Trump's tweet. And see how three representatives of Young India, Startup India, have given us a different flavor of what we can expect. And that is something that we will try and capture continuously here at the World Government Summit. Almost 4 dozen heads of government and dozens of CEOs represented here, and a strong India contingent, which Ritesh is also very keenly involved in. And I'll come back with more of that story. Until I see you again, goodbye.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.